Welcome to the Valley Sports Plug Roundtable. My name is Chris Patrick. With me tonight is Michael Benjamin, and we are so glad to have you here. With us also tonight, a few special guests. But first, Mike, go ahead and introduce yourself.
What up, Chris? Glad to be back. I am Michael Benjamin, the tallest podcaster in Arizona, apparently. Still might have to get it fact-checked, but excited to be here tonight, do a little roundtable, kind of another thing we want to do once a month, bring in some of our friends and some other, fellow Arizona sports fans to chop it up, and we'll see where the conversation takes us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The tallest podcaster in Arizona. That is true. Don't look it up. And also, Mike might be the tallest, but we also have the shortest podcaster with Valley Sports Plug, Ian, the 5'6" Colossus. What's up, brother?
I thought 5'6" was like average. Damn.
What's going on? I didn't say short. I said
5'9", right?
I think so. Maybe. I don't know. You got a big heart though, Ian, and I think that makes up more than anything.
That's all that matters. My spirit is 7 foot tall.
You know what they say about big personalities, right?
No, what do they say?
I don't know. This might be a family-friendly show, so I don't know if I can say it right now.
Oh, man. I know I'm going to have a lot of questions for this guy. New to Valley Sports Plug, first time on the roundtable, first time on a stream. Ben Miller, is it true that everything is bigger in Texas?
Yes. But yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Been a long-time listener, longer-time friend, and happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. And let's just get right into it. And real quick, just got to say, for those who have never been on a Valley Sports Plug Roundtable, kind of Mike said, we invite our friends on. We have a good time. It's kind of fast and loose. We got a few topics teed up to get us started, but then we want to hear from you. We want you to join in the conversation, be a part of the conversation. So leave your comments as we kind of go through here. And if there's a topic you want us to talk about, or if there's something you have to say about a topic we're talking about, let us know. Also, go and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AZ_VSP, on Facebook at Valley Sports Plug, and of course, you're right here on YouTube. So stay coming here for all the latest videos and podcasts. But with this first topic, as I would put it, Ben's of course wearing the Valley shirt there, so he is a Suns fan. Everyone here knows me and Mike Benjamin are Suns fans. Ian is a Nets fan, hailing from New York. And so I thought it'd be interesting to start off talking about this Kevin Durant madness and what has kind of transpired in the past couple months. Yeah, let's just get it out there. Let's lay it out. Ian, let's let you go first. What do you have to say about it so far?
I miss knowing who plays on my basketball team. That's the first thing I'd say, is that I don't know. Supposedly Kyrie is opted in and is willing to play for the team, but it's anyone's guess how long that's going to last. And then Kevin Durant seems like he's doing everything he can to pressure the front office into trading him. Obviously that's a very, very big ask when you have one of the best players in the league who hasn't even started a 4-year contract yet, and you're trying to move him. That's a move that might be the swan song for Sean Marks. If he messes that up at all, he's gone. And that's kind of where it is. It's a sinking ship right now for sure. Kyrie plays. I thought he was a philosopher.
Yeah,
Steven
Miller.
He's got a part-time job as a point guard for the Brooklyn Nets. That's where I stand with it, is basically I don't really know what's going to happen. I think it's going to be a long time before we see a trade actually start to materialize, especially with the asking prices that they've had. I think they need to wait for a team to get desperate, or for them to get desperate so they can lower their asking price. And it's going to be a while before either of those things happen. It might not be until the trade deadline.
Do you think that KD will sit out games though and play hardball like that?
Yeah, I think he might, for sure. Especially, I think we'll know early on what he's going to do, because either he's going to play or he's not going to show up for training camp at all. So preseason, if we don't see Kevin Durant, we're not going to see Kevin Durant ever again in the Nets uniform, I would think.
It seems like it's trending that way. Ben Miller, Stephen Miller, any relation?
Yes, very much. Hey, brother. But yeah, I would say, to jump off what Ian is saying, if you had to guess when the Nets went about this project to go and actually build a super team, to do what KD wanted, to do what Kyrie, bring these players together with him, KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, how many games do you think in this experiment have they actually played together?
I want to say it was like 16, like 16 to 20 something. It really wasn't that much in the 2 years that they played together.
I feel like it was actually lower than that. I think it was around the ballpark of like 9.
It was 16.
Woo-hoo!
So over the course of
Goddamn.
what, two and a half, almost 3 years playing together, they played, the three superstars, a total of 16 games. But I don't know. I don't think that we are going to see KD in a Nets jersey again. But I also don't know if that means that he is going to come over here to Phoenix, no matter how much he talks about it online and says that is what his intention is. And the thing is, I am wary to trade our entire future, our young core, for someone who is aging, even if they are top 5 player of all time, because that is a win now moment. And as you can see, we have the core that can get us to there. And as long as we make some quick changes, maybe get some of the locker room stuff sorted out, I think that we can keep on getting back there and being competitive here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually sorry, Chris. I wanted to ask the three of you at this point, with KD applying the pressure that he's applying to the front office, with, giving an ultimatum that you either fire Nash and Sean Marks or trade me. Those kinds of moves make me wonder, as a Suns fan, if you were the general manager, would you even want him at this point? Because how long can you really guarantee to keep him happy? And introducing a ego that big to a team that was in the playoffs 2 years ago and still have a chance to make deep, deep runs, that can really fuck up the locker room chemistry, I would think, right? Like, is the chemistry, should that be valued over how good Kevin Durant is as a player, or do you kind of take that risk still?
I'd love to jump in on this one. I think
Mike, I think it's your turn.
I think you take that risk because of the time that KD has spent on the floor with both Chris Paul and Devin Booker in the USA basketball circuit. KD played with Chris Paul, I want to say 2012 era time frame, maybe. And then obviously in 2020, well, technically 2021, with Devin Booker. So I think that there's obviously going to be expectations that are set once he comes into the fold. Chris Paul has a very high personality. We've heard about him rubbing people the wrong way, about how, the moment first, making sure that they're set up for success. Some guys are just there to play, be in the league, have a starlight around them, and, whatever comes with them playing, they're all for. But Chris Paul understands he's coming down towards the end of his career, and this is kind of his last ditch effort to try and make a run for a championship. And Kevin Durant, to some point might have to be thinking the same thing too, just with the injuries that he's had the past couple of years, coming back from that Achilles in the Warriors series against the Raptors, sitting out that year, and just general, the clock is ticking for them. But I am with you at the same time, where I get worrisome about hemorrhaging the entire team and mortgaging the farm just to bring him in. But I also think that's why a deal hasn't been able to get done at the same time. I bet you the Suns are holding on for dear life to keep Mikal. I mean, that's a defensive prowess that isn't really built on trees. If you could keep a core guy like that, you're set up for the future. Not only if you were able to bring in Kevin Durant, but just as a team aspect as a whole. But now you get stuck because signing DA after the whole fiasco with the, letting him go to free agency. And at the end of the day, we maybe saved a couple of bucks, if that. And now your cap space is pretty much spent. So the only way that you can start thinking about bringing KD in is you have to get other parties involved.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take a lot, because at the end of the day, Brooklyn holds all the cards. They're the ones who are trading the main asset. So you can hold the line until you don't want to. But it's the same way what happened with Philadelphia. They waited it out. And Ian, exactly like you're saying, we could see this going and stretching until the trade deadline before any real movement happens. But I wouldn't be surprised if KD just sits his ass on the bench and says, okay, screw you, man. You already know what I want. Figure it out, but we'll wait until then.
I'm really curious who's going to come out on top in all this, because it seems like the longer it drags out, KD's kind of trying to take away their leverage. And of course they want to get the most in return for a Kevin Durant that, like Ben said, top 5 player of all time, kind of probably on the downslope coming out of his prime, maybe in his prime, coming out of his prime, whatever you want to argue. But in any case, the Sun, and you can understand the Suns' perspective, they don't want to mortgage the future, and a lot of their fans don't want them to mortgage the future, a la getting rid of Mikal Bridges in a package. And I don't think it's unfair for the Nets to offer that. But what I wanted to kind of just kick back to you, Ian, and maybe Ben, you could also chime in on this. I'd hate to play like what about, but Ian, like, do you wish it's going to come to the point where the Nets will look back and wish maybe they did work out some kind of sign and trade to get a Donovan Mitchell or a DeAndre Ayton while the Suns still had that option before he re-upped?
I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, I wish we did sign and trade for better players that we could have had. You said Donovan Mitchell. I would love to have him as a return for Kevin Durant. But the issue when you say DeAndre Ayton is that we're now very abruptly in rebuild mode, and there's players that we can't move, very most notably Ben Simmons, and we're kind of stuck there with him, and I don't like Simmons and Ayton next to each other. So that's the only reason I would say no to that. But if we were going scorched earth and somehow moving everybody and contract stipulations weren't a fucking issue, I would definitely sign and trade for Ayton, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that I just always wonder, why are the Nets so in love with getting players that are not going to play any games for them? When you have Kyrie, KD, Harden, and then also now getting Ben Simmons, who just sat out the entire season when he was on the Sixers.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the main thing too. Like this is all about leverage for KD, where whether it's him or Kyrie, they are really flying too close to the sun. Where in reality, the Nets office, they own all the cards. They are the ones who have the power to say, you know what? Yeah, your contract, you signed it. You're with us for the next 4 years. Congrats. That's why it is so interesting to see them bend over backwards to try to keep these guys happy, because they're the ones who hired Nash. They're the ones who got the general manager. So it's when everything is starting to fall apart and you as KD start saying, it's these guys or me, and we're going to ignore the fact that I'm the one that hired them.
Yeah.
It gets ridiculous. And also the fact that the Nets tried to give Kyrie the max. They did. They tried to give him the 4-year extension, but the only thing they wanted to add was a games played clause, and he refused. He's like, I'm not going to be controlled.
He wanted vacation days.
He's got vacation days. How many games has he played?
In season though. In season, he needs those vacation days. Like if he's just not feeling like it, he's got to be able to just go out of town for a couple days, take a few games off.
Yeah, if he needs to go and visit his niece and go to her birthday party on a Wednesday when you're supposed to be having 2-a-day practice, you can't hold him accountable, I guess. I think one of the other good comments that you made, Ben, as well, is it was their decision to bring in Steve Nash. And it's at the end of the day, it's an odd decision with everything that's going on. You knew what kind of personalities these guys were. Kyrie has a track record, Kevin Durant as well. And then when they brought in James Harden, he's another guy who was kind of hard-headed and hard to, control and whatnot. And then you bring in Ben Simmons as well and think it's going to be all gravy and it's all going to mesh well together. There's only so many high caliber personalities that you can have in one room for one man to control, especially a guy who has no head coaching experience, really no bench coaching experience at all, only his time with Golden State, as kind of a practice coach, one-on-one more stuff. So it was an odd decision, but now you're seeing, the failures from it, I guess. Sorry, Ian.
It's all right. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's a weird decision. I feel like it never works out. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but has a player ever retired and gone right to head coach successfully? Like even barring the giant egos that Simmons, Kyrie, and KD have.
Was the Cavaliers Tyronn Lue's first coaching gig?
I think,
but I guess when you have LeBron James,
coaching gig,
kind of a cheat code.
That's a little bit different too. But I'm pretty sure Tyronn Lue did some time on the bench as like assistant for a couple of years. I could be mistaken, but I don't think he was just kind of thrown into the fire.
The only other example I can think of that happening is Jason Kidd.
Well, yeah, and we saw how that worked out the first couple of years.
Yeah,
when he was with Milwaukee
right? Yeah.
Yep.
Was he ever the Knicks coach? No, he was just the Nets coach.
Yep. Nets, and he spilled the soda on the floor so he can get his extra timeout, and then he tried to make a power move and steal president of basketball operations from whoever had that title. And then he was the first head coach to ever get traded.
Wait, who was the first head coach to get traded? I'm sorry.
Jason Kidd.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
No. I thought Doc Rivers got traded before Jason Kidd did.
Oh, did he? I might be wrong.
Yeah, and like he was traded to be the Clippers coach from Boston. I'm pretty sure. It was after like the Kevin Garnett, like Ray Allen era fell apart.
Yeah, and I think that speaking to another topic that I think we wanted to talk to is that Bill Russell made that jump from player to coach as well.
Right.
Yeah. And again, Big Bro points that out. Steven, Bill Russell was also a coach. He was a player and a coach. Different time. Absolutely. So, Ben, you bring up Bill Russell, and the title of this video did mention something about Chris Patrick being called out. Little backstory. Ben called me last night, said, Chris, I listened to the Heat Check podcast, and you posted some cringe, bro. You posted some cringe with your Bill Russell takes. Now, I will admit, I was a bit hyperbolic at times. You could call me a devil's advocate, bombastic, and maybe
he's just asking questions.
I'm just asking questions. Maybe getting a little ahead of my skis, but I do stand by it. Honestly, I'm gonna double down. I got some stats with me here, but we got you on the record now. We got you on the pod here. And so I wanted to find out what you and Ben, you and Ian think about the Bill Russell and the number 6 being retired league wide. And Ben, maybe I'll let you go first and maybe let you explain your side of thinking and all that.
Yeah, so Bill Russell, I think undeniably, as a player, as a coach, as a human being, is one of the greatest people ever associated with the NBA as a whole. From his professional career, which is unabridgable, where 11-time NBA champion, 5-time MVP, 12-time All-Star, and also an Olympic gold medal to boot, even if he was playing against plumbers for the most part. The main part is that is, you're never going to see the likes of that again, of seeing a player with the double-digit championships of that. But the other thing is that when you are going to do an action like retire someone's number for an entire league after their death, I think that it should be something that maybe they would have wanted. Maybe what is the reason that they did not do that while he was alive? Why did they not give him his flowers and have this parade of praise for him while he was still with us? And frankly, some of the reports I've seen is that he just didn't want it. He's like, hey, don't pay attention to me. My basketball career was great. But there are so many other issues that I need to talk about right now that are important, that are affecting me, people who look like me, and my culture. So being with his entire civil rights, being such a legend in the civil rights community, and from day one to the day we lost him was fighting that good fight. I think that you should always ask the person who is being honored, do you, just do you want this? Is this something that honors you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think I agree mostly with what Ben said. The only thing I can really equate retiring Bill Russell's jersey number to, because the only other sport I watch is baseball, and we did that with Jackie Robinson, and there's no argument to be made that Bill Russell was not just as big as a civil rights leader as Jackie Robinson, but he's in the conversation. You know what I mean? Like, he's right there pushing the envelope forward for us as a species. And I think that's really what it should take to have that kind of honor. And I think he did it. So I don't see much of an issue with it.
Yeah. So getting onto your point, Chris, of what you were talking about, saying, well, this is a slippery slope. What are they going to do? Thinking 500 years down the line. I don't think the NBA is thinking what they're going to have for breakfast tomorrow morning. So the main thing
No.
is that there are plenty of numbers. If they want to do that, they're looking for the headlines right now to follow in the trend and to just get the positive publicity in the moment. Is it a overall good thing, and is it needed, depending on all the things that we usually talk about in this league? I think so. And I think that it's definitely, for the reasons they said, it is something that is important, and that is we should recognize as something that players should use their platform, they should use their influence to speak on the issues that are impactful to them and the community around them too.
100%. And I think you and Ian brought up a ton of great points that I absolutely agree with and would stand by. And you probably even sold me on number 6 being okay to retire league wide. But I do want to stand on that when it comes to retiring numbers as a whole, I do still think it could be a slippery slope. And I have some numbers that I want to share with you. And you're right, Ben, that these leagues, they're not thinking about what they're going to eat for breakfast tomorrow. Everything we do today is everyone else down the road's problem, a million tomorrows. But just looking at a few teams, especially ones we're talking about here, the Celtics have 23 retired numbers in their 76-year history. So at that pace, Ben, in less than 500 years, like you just said, all the numbers will be retired. And will they just go to triple digits?
Once again, half of those players are plumbers. But who knows? I mean, I can see a world where we start losing the numbers and just go with the name on the back. But also, at the end of the day, I think a number is just a number. If you want to get into numerology and athletes who are notoriously superstitious, we can definitely get into that. But if you are going to have a lifetime achievement, and this is one of the things that they can do for you, then yeah, let them do it. Even if I personally find it to be shallow and against the wishes of the person who you're trying to honor.
Gotcha. So you're saying we agree that we don't like number 6 being retired, but you didn't like my reasoning about, because my reason, because I did also, to be fair to myself, if you go back and listen to the most recent Heat Check podcast, which the video is now on this YouTube channel, I uploaded that about 45 minutes before the show launch. So if you don't have Spotify or any podcast service, if you live in a cave that just has YouTube, you can watch and listen to the podcast here. But I was getting back to my point, Ben. I know you said also your criticism was that I trail off and get off topic, but my point being is that was also that I forgot where I was going, didn't I?
Oh, you trailed off. You're going off.
I trailed off. See, I trailed off. No.
You're stuck in the woods now.
I'm stuck in the woods now. And that might be the case. So while I try and remember, Mike, do you have anything? You've been kind of chilling up there in the top right for a while.
No, I think I said a lot. I had a lot of my sentiments on the last Heat Check podcast, and I'll stand by them. Unequivocally, the man was an absolute winner, probably the most all time in NBA history. And he also helped, change the game from a social aspect. So it's far and few between that you will see those type of individuals come into, any kind of aspect, whether it be sport or culture. You could go even into movies. People who just have a platform to help change things throughout the world. And he was definitely, at the forefront of that. You say the Celtics have 23 retired numbers. That's because, coming up from the creation of the NBA up until the 80s, they were one of the most winningest franchises in NBA history, and all they did was win. So you give those accolades out because you're at the top of your craft. Where you can look at the Suns, we've been to 3 NBA finals, and a majority, or not a majority, but a good handful of those guys are in the Suns Ring of Honor because it was our pinnacle of success as franchises, So you're not, there's only 15 guys on a team. There's still going to be plenty of numbers. And the league has a whole bunch of parity in it nowadays anyways, where, I don't know how many more people the Celtics are going to have to be retiring unless they go on a stretch and just win for a decade and a half and win multiple championships and whatnot. That's the only way that you're seeing it. But that's not happening anymore. The Warriors and the Cavaliers went on their run, well, specifically LeBron James, but there's just too many good players in the league nowadays where things have to fall your way in order to reach the top and be a winner, where it's going to fall. I don't think there's going to be as many guys, seeing their numbers go into the rafters as often as it was at the creation of the league, because there also was way less teams.
Well, so the bar's a lot higher now, obviously. Like, you can't, like we said, you can't compare generations. So and also to Ben's point, I know you love that line, Ben, and they're also all plumbers, to Ben's point. So it's from plumbers, and now, so if you put all the plumbers against the current Celtics roster, they would win all the championships back then. So it's like, at what point obviously at some point they're going to have to maybe reevaluate that or not. I like Ben said, there's also other options, like I said, 3 digits. There's just adopting the name on the back of the jersey, especially with the way they're already adding advertisements. Maybe it's just a Mountain Dew logo and then your name above that. And each player has a different advertisement, and that's what they get called by. But who knows? Who knows?
And the starting center for the Phoenix Suns wearing number Batman sign.
What a dunk by Mountain Dew.
I think they would still have the pool when that goes down. But I like this comment by Steven. Maybe this can get the conversation shifting in a different direction. He says, this reminds me a lot of the convo around Kobe and changing the logo when he passed away. As many of you may or may not know, Jerry West is unofficially the logo. He doesn't like it. I think he's on record saying he doesn't like it. And there's a lot of people that it's been kind of a polarizing topic of changing the logo. Ian, what is your take on, maybe Kobe or someone else becoming the logo?
Kobe would be cool. The only real objection I can have on that is that he's not around to say that he doesn't like it. But
that's a fair point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's worthy of that little head nod of being the logo for sure.
Ben?
Since Jason Tatum texts Kobe's number before every game, I think he is the one who should be the one to really decide for us.
Make the call.
Make the call.
Do you think he's ever gotten a text back? Like Vanessa's just like, stop texting me.
It's one of those auto texts. You just go capital STOP, stop, and it says you've been unsubscribed. From Jason Tatum saying, "Hey man, I miss you."
No, I totally Steven just keeps bringing up hit bangers here. I do think Tatum is real cringe here. when I saw that, it's like when anyone tries to do a tribute like that, and then they like, it's either you got to nail it or you're gonna fucking fail it, and he fucking failed, and it made him look like a fool, and to the point. Not that you saw, I'm sure everyone in the Valley who is on like whatever social media saw the pictures of like people comparing even Devin Booker, because he doesn't like the Kobe comparisons, though. He shies away with it. And I don't know if Tatum's comparing himself to Kobe necessarily, but like I get the Kobe praise, but like when you throw on the 8 or the 24, you got to perform, and then there's that pressure and that balance. I don't know, Mike, what do you think? Does Jason Tatum posting cringe?
So I was very thrown off by that armband that he was wearing, the purple and gold one. Was it during the finals or was it the Eastern Conference Finals against Miami? Either way, I understand that he has a great love and admiration for Kobe Bryant, but you also have to think about what you stand for the franchise that you play with. The Boston Celtics do not like the Los Angeles Lakers, and they never have. Even going back to the late 2000s when they went and clashed up against each other in those two NBA finals. I thought it was an odd sight, first and foremost, to have anybody from the Boston Celtics showing any kind of love for the Los Angeles Lakers in any capacity. Even if it's Kobe Bryant. There had to have been a lot of people who are Boston Celtics diehards who probably jumped off a ledge when they saw that, where it's like, man, our main guy is wearing purple and gold at the highest level and the highest stage in front of national television. That's crazy. But
yeah,
go ahead, Ben. Yeah, go.
Oh, sorry about that. But yeah, and I think that one of the things that we can address there is like, as cringe as it is to be wearing your opponent's colors on that stage and everything else, is that these athletes are people. Like Kobe was a beyond like transcendental person that inspired countless people around from just playing basketball. The different mentality, the just seeing how he approached the game and life in general. And you know what? As cringe as it is to wear that or to be posting about how you text the number that he had given you at one point, I don't know. I think that players can grow beyond than just being like a fan base for itself, as part of their team, because at the end of the day, this is going to be their profession, and they may be on multiple teams. If you're the average player compared to a superstar that may be on 1, 2, 3 teams over their career.
No, you bring up good points too, but it also can come back to the whole full circle conversation that you have about there's really just a majority of players that you start to consider for, items like retiring numbers or changing logos. And I'm sure you might have some other few because everybody has a fan base and a love for different people, but you could say that the 4 main guys that you can start talking about in the future, what might happen with, I don't know, numbers or logo changes, like it was stated, is Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, probably LeBron James, and Bill Russell. It's far and few between. There is really a selective group. You could start thinking about even some of the greats at the time with Bill Russell, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, but I don't think there was as much love and adoration for him, even more so as a person, than there was for a Bill Russell, because what Bill Russell did for social justice issues, the continued fight that he had, and how he was really still around the game until his passing. He was always there. You could count on Bill to show up to All-Star games or maybe make an appearance at an NBA Finals, because he loved the game, he loved the culture, and he wanted to still help make an impact for anybody who would listen to him. So those guys are far and few between, and I think it was well deserved at the end of the day.
I was actually going to ask if we had entertain the idea of a slippery slope with retiring numbers league wide. The next logical candidate would kind of be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? Like, just based on the same things, big civil rights activist, push the game to another level. Has rings, not as many rings, of course, but
He was in the movie Airplane.
He was.
Isn't he a writer on The Good Place too?
Is
No
he?
way, really?
I would love that so much. I hope
wouldn't
that's
doubt
true.
it.
I just choose to believe that's true. Don't even tell me if it is.
But no, Ian, go on.
No, that's basically what I'm asking. Is for the same reasons that Bill Russell qualifies as having his league retired league wide. I'm sorry, his number retired league wide. Does Kareem Abdul-Jabbar meet those same qualifications?
I mean, I would arguably say yes. Isn't he the all-time scoring leader?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, all those everything else you just said, and being in the movie Airplane,
Bill
yeah,
Russell
I
was
think
never in Airplane.
he wasn't. No, Ben, what movie was Bill Russell in? but no,
he had to have some like TV appearances or something at least.
Yeah.
You know, there's some pretty grainy footage where he was standing up there in 1963 on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial at the March on Washington, next to Dr. King. If you
I know
count that
that
as a
guy.
movie.
Yeah, okay.
And Kareem is a writer on Veronica Mars, the new reboot.
I love that.
That is so random, but yeah, I absolutely love that. So I think all of those reasons, especially those last few, by the standard set, but to Ben's point, and I totally agree with it. Would he consent to that? Is this just going to be like, I think, Ian, what you're saying is that the slippery slope of waiting till players pass and then retiring their number, honoring them in a way that they didn't want to be honored. Ben, I know you like slippery slopes. What do you think about that?
You know, I think that it's always convenient, and it cuts out a lot of loose ends if you wait for the person that might have an opinion about using their name to not be able to say how they feel about it, yes or no. So, you know what, if people find it to be impactful and meaningful for them to have this retired, or as I think as Steven said in the chat, if the NBA named more awards after players for different pieces, like scoring titles, assist titles, and rebounds, I think that it could be meaningful too.
Yeah,
Only if we give Reggie Miller the 3 points award name.
Ooh,
not Ray Allen?
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Not Ray Allen. It might need to come down to a fan vote or something, but we know the fan voting is just.
Well, and I think they've kind of started to undertake that initiative this year by adding MVP trophies for the Western and Eastern Conference Finals. I'm pretty sure they named those, right? I think the Eastern Conference one was Bill Russell, Eastern Conference MVP, and the Western Conference was Magic Johnson.
It's the Bird and Magic.
Okay.
Awards.
So, but they've already kind of started to, initiate those kind of items to, give praise to their legends. So.
Yep, no, it's a good idea. That's another way to honor him. I mean, you see that in college. Pretty much every one of those trophies and season awards are named after a person. You got the Larry O'Brien, which is the championship trophy, if I'm not mistaken. Last thing, I want to kind of wrap up this topic on retired numbers and shit. But Ian, I wanted to, something I was doing in my little pre-show research here, trying to get a rebuttal going with Ben. I was seeing how many retired players the Yankees have, or retired numbers. They technically, it depends on how you look at it. They either have 23 or 21 retired numbers.
Because there's repeating, right?
Yep. The number 8 is retired twice. And also the number 42 is retired twice.
Yep.
So I did look it up. It was their catchers. It was Yogi Berra and one other guy. I don't quite remember. But that was interesting. So again, Celtics and the Yankees both have 20 plus numbers retired. But again, to kind of, I think to what Mike was saying, the Yankees have a ton of championships. They got it in an era where they were just dominating. And even into the recent history, they were dominating through, was it most of the 90s and early 2000s?
Yeah, started around 96, and their last winning World Series was 2000, I think
2008?
2000. And then then they won in 09.
09.
Yeah. So I think 2000 and then 2009 would be the gap there. But yeah, they have 27 rings. They have a lot of
That's the
retired
most
players.
So
out
there
of
was
any other team.
so there was a specific team that basically put a halt to the dynasty that was going on in the late 90s, right? Early 2000s.
Yeah, the Marlins did it in 2002 as well.
You know which one we're talking about. Yeah.
But what was before 2002? What about 2001?
Oh, 2000 was before 2002. They beat the Mets that year.
Stop dancing around the issue, my friend.
Yes, the Diamondbacks did beat the Yankees
Good
in
man.
2001. That happened. Everybody
Hey,
gets one.
Exactly. And that's all we got, Ian. We literally only have one. Okay.
So
if it
doesn't
ever
even feel
comes
that
up,
good.
you make sure that you talk about it,
I'm talking about it.
my man.
Here's an idea. What if instead of the Yankees retiring numbers, for every player they want to retire, it's a pinstripe. You just take that off.
That's a good idea. They should retire numbers for teams that beat them. They'll be like, all right, Randy Johnson, he kicked our ass that year. We'll retire his number.
But
So
then
no,
when he
it's-
ended up with the Yankees, he would have had to change numbers. Did he change numbers anyways, or was he still 51 with the
I
Yankees?
don't know. He might have been 51 because when you look at the numbers that are retired, it's all the low ones that are taken, and like the higher ones are still kind of pretty wide open.
Yeah, I'll read them off here real quick just because I have them in front of me. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10. So 1 through 10, just fuck the Yankees, 1 through 10.
Yep.
15, 16, 20, 23, 32, 37, 42, 42, 44, 46, 49, and 51. So yeah.
Oh, so he might have changed.
Yeah, he was 41. I'm looking at it right now.
He was 41.
Johnson was 41 with the Yankees.
Apparently, I guess when it comes to retiring jerseys, they just didn't want to maybe they didn't want to have players with 2 numbers because the Celtics it's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10. I guess 10 doesn't count. Maybe I'm off. But in any case, back to the point at hand. I do think that's very interesting that they have the 2 jerseys retired. The original topic that we brought up. But going on to the next topic, what are you guys looking forward to in the coming NFL season? I know, Ian, you might not be the biggest football fan, but Ben, do you have your eye on anything like the Cardinals, or are you a Cowboy? You're not a Cowboys fan, are you?
I will be cold and dead in the ground if I ever root for the Dallas Cowboys. But that's a good point too. It's like for those of you who don't know, I live in Dallas, Texas. But for anyone who is living in a different city than the team that you root for, it can get really depressing to watch the people around you just get so sad and horrible. Unless those people are Cowboys fans, because then their tears fuel you. And when you have a wonderful time like the Cardinals getting to absolutely rout them last season, you just get to have a wonderful time. So the only thing I'm not looking forward to this year is that the Cardinals don't have another chance to beat the Cowboys like they have the past couple of years.
Yeah. No, I love that. I remember that when that happened. My old supervisor was a huge Cowboys fan, and we used to always give each other shit. And he was the first person I hit up just to rub it in. I think it's very interesting. You know, obviously we got the Kyler contract. I know personally, I think it's going to be interesting to see what the wide receiver situation is like with DeAndre Hopkins being out, and how Hollywood Brown is going to have to step up, and some of these other guys are going to need to kind of make plays and be the filler while Hopkins is out, like I'm saying. But beyond all of that, I think it's just making an impact and knowing that we're gonna get the national hate. We're gonna get that disrespect. We're not the biggest market. We don't get any love out there, but it's going to be important to try early on. We have, like we've talked about here on this show, we have a tough schedule. There's like 5 of the first 6 games before we get Hopkins back are going to be real tough. And Ian, I'm kind of sorry to talk Valley Sports, but specifically Cardinals because you're not a big football guy. But
dude, I'm on your podcast.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a good point. But I'll kick it over to Mike. What are you looking forward to, Mike? Oh, is he frozen? Is he still there?
Can you see me? Can
Yes,
you hear me?
Yes.
I'm still here. I'm looking forward to the preseason being over at this point. I just want the real games to kick in, man. Like, there's only so many times I can watch Trace McSorley throw the football and knowing that he's never going to sniff the field unless both of our guys have crazy injuries and whatnot. I understand why it has to happen. You have to fill out your roster and whatnot, but I'm ready to see these new skill position guys be on the field. Like, I haven't seen Hollywood do anything. Even when we went to the red-white practice, he was in street clothes. He didn't even step on the field for practice. So I'm just ready for it to get going. I have been watching Hard Knocks, though. Right now they have the Lions on. Dan Campbell, man, that guy is awesome. I love him, man. He'll make you run through a brick wall. But I did get a nice little laugh at the I think they just had episode 2 come out, and they've been doing kind of like a little preview, not necessarily a preview, but like a shot from Cardinals training camp, and basically says Hard Knocks in season coming November 9th or whatever. And the last one they had was literally just Cliff Kingsbury, like in his office, like looking at film with a controller in his hand. It was the most awkward thing I had ever seen. I have to, I'm trying to find a photo of it, but if you guys keep talking, I might be able to rummage it up. It was the weirdest thing because it's not a photo. It's them like standing in front of them. And the producer must have had to been like, okay, Cliff, we're going to get you in your element. You're going to be breaking down this film, watching DeAndre Hopkins go on a slant, and you just look focused and intense about it. And he's literally just standing there like this.
Do you think he even has anything
for like 15 seconds? I wish he had glasses because then we could see if there was actually like anything behind him that he was watching. But it was the weirdest thing, man. The previous one they did was DeAndre Hopkins like doing stretches, like going up and down on this box. It's like, in season Hard Knocks coming soon.
I will say for Hard Knocks, watching especially like this new season and how they're at the Lions right now, I am ready to run through a brick wall for the Lions. And I never thought I would say that, just because it is so entertaining to watch their head coach and just the emotion that they have when they're playing and how he's getting for his guys. Like, I think that they are going to be a sneaky, much better team. Still horrible, but much better than last year than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and that'd be interesting to even maybe dissect on another show. And I want to deep dive like fantasy football a little bit, maybe at some point in time. But I was just thinking a little bit about it, and Ian, you have these football topics and all these teams that are doing these shows. Do you think the NBA should have a show like that where a camera crew follows a team in season and kind of shows like what they go through like in a little bit of practice and like the travel aspect of it all?
100%, yeah. And I think they should pick. I'll try to step back and be unbiased about it, but I do want the most dysfunctional team at the time to be the one that's followed around, even though the answer to that would be the Nets. Even if it wasn't the Nets, I would still want that just for entertainment's sake. But it would be awesome.
I think it'd be a lot more interesting. Not to take anything away from the NFL Hard Knocks, but it's much more intimate when you have a smaller roster, right? You're talking about 15 guys. Maybe a few guys will come and go as you have injuries, but it's a lot smaller of a roster. So yeah, much more personal and could lead to more drama. So I think like of course you could get labeled the homer, but I don't think you're wrong. The Nets, with all the drama they've been through, especially if it were to have happened last season, that would have been crazy. Ben, you're kind of nodding there. Do you think that would be a good team, or was there another? Do you think there might be another team you would also like to see?
I don't know. I think I was just nodding along.
All right. I like it. Mike, what do you think about that though? Like hard knocks for basketball?
Oh yeah. Any chance you get to be able to see kind of the inner workings of an organization and a team and their day-to-day structure, you know, what they're talking about at practice, what they're seeing when they're dissecting film, even what the guys are like eating day to day, like their chefs that are coming in and whatnot. I just personally think all that kind of stuff is interesting because it takes work to be on the highest level in professional sports, and you really have to take care of yourself, take care of your body, and I'm just always interested to see what these guys like to do in their free time because there's normally not a lot of it. So any chance you get to kind of see the inner workings of clubs, I'm all for it. That'd be awesome. And I'm surprised nobody's taking advantage of this at this point.
Reading Rainbow with Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, Kyrie giving lectures on flat Earth theory and other topics.
I think some of the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. You go. If you got something, go for it.
So I think to answer your question before, I think the two most entertaining teams would to watch and just see how they go about their day-to-day business. Obviously, it's the Bucks with Giannis, and just seeing like how he is as a person behind the scenes. But also, I want to see what's going on in Memphis.
Ooh, good point.
Memphis, like they got something brewing down there. They have culture, and it is something that is going to be really exciting this years to come.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing I'm excited for in general with the NBA is there's a lot of these young teams like Memphis, where there's much more parity in the league now than there ever has been. Where, of course, I say that as the Warriors just won their fourth championship, whatever.
Yeah.
But I am excited to see, and I think, Ben, you bring up great points. The Bucks would be great. Steven says Timberwolves will be fascinating. I think he's right. Anthony Edwards. I think they still have D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns. Ian was a big D'Angelo Russell supporter way back in his time. Best, Nevsy says, best college team in the NBA. Like I said, yeah, all these teams are young, so it is like a bunch of college kids coming out. But you say that even still, and you got guys like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson who they kind of played. I don't think did Mikal Bridges play 4 years? Doesn't matter. They played later. That was the sale. They were older guys, but I do think that would be super interesting. I don't know if it would ever happen. It's hard to say, and we'll see. But I think that's oh shit. I keep tapering off, guys. Like I totally was like I got a topic queued up. I got to start writing this shit down. But oh that's right. I wanted to talk about like maybe getting away from sports a little bit because we do try and make these sports and pop culture that is as advertised. And if anyone's watching on YouTube. We are going to put this up as a podcast after the fact, but I've been munching on a roast beef sandwich from La Madeleine, and it's been delicious. I'm sorry, I'm just really hungry. Before the show, Ian had a burrito. Where was that from?
Just Chipotle. I should get La Madeleine, though. I live right down the street from it.
Dude, try it out. It's honestly really good. Sabrina turned me onto it. I think it's a chain. Oh, yeah, no, Ben, because I think that's what it was. When we were out in Dallas, Sabrina and my mom went to a La Madeleine in Dallas, and Sabrina was like, "Oh, I love this place." And then when she found out there's one in Gilbert, she drugged me out to it, and I was like, "Okay, it is actually good." Have you been there?
Yeah, I mean it's a few places around. When I was living on campus at SMU for a little bit, there was one like right around the corner. So just going down there getting some soup on a nice day, like that was always my favorite.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like real, like it's good quality food. It's not that expensive, and it's just like it's convenient. So I wanted to just maybe ask all three of you, just throw it out there, whoever wants to answer first. You got Chipotle, we got La Madeleine. I would consider those like they're not fast food, but they're not like a sit down restaurant. They're kind of like in that like I think there's a word for it, but I don't know it off the top of my head. What's your favorite restaurant like that though, where you just like you can either walk in, order ahead, or whatever? It's like that mid-tier restaurant.
I'm a big Five Guys supporter. I think that would fall in the same category, right?
Mid-tier.
I would say Fuzzies. Going for like a breakfast burrito or some tacos, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, because I'm thinking chains, right? Like, would you, even though it's fast food, is well, In-N-Out Burger is fast food, right?
Yeah.
I guess, but like most sub shops, would you consider a sub shop fast food? Like Subway is kind of, I would consider Subway kind of fast food. I wouldn't consider it mid-tier.
Yeah, I'd say Subway's fast food.
But then you have other sub shops. There's like Jersey Mike's, Firehouse. I would say Firehouse is mid-tier. I really like Firehouse.
I like Jersey Mike's for sure.
Jersey Mike's.
Ike's Love and Sandwiches, definitely I would put in that mid-tier.
Is
Ike's
Ike's
is kind of
chain?
expensive though.
Is Ike's
It
a
is.
chain like that though, or is it just a local thing?
It's they're based out of San Francisco, so it is a chain. I'm just not sure how big of a chain it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I'm not like necessarily saying like it has to be franchised or anything. I did learn recently that Panda Express, I don't know if it's still the case, but all but like 2 locations. They only franchise like 2 locations, and it's in like super remote areas. Otherwise, like one family owns all the Panda Expresses in the world.
Kind of like how Steve Aoki's dad is Benihana.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rocky Aoki. Yeah, that's Steve Aoki's dad. Yeah.
But you were talking about Dallas, Chris. Did you know that
Mhm.
an Arizona institution, Chiba Hut, they just opened one up here too?
No shit.
Nice.
Expanding out. That's fucking awesome. Speaking of expanding out and talking about restaurants, a local favorite, the Vine, shut down in Tempe and relocated to Ahwatukee. Ben, I think you're probably the best person to speak on this out of anyone. Just get it out. Get it out there, Steven, if you're still watching, get it out.
You know, deep in your heart, you know that all good things must come to an end. And I am saddened to see that a institution, 36 years, as Steven says, can't type through this year's 36 years on that corner of Rural and Apache in the A-frame of a former Village Inn where countless people have gone through, where legendary teams like that 97 Rose Bowl team with Jake Plummer and Pat Tillman used to sit on a throne and drink dollar or I think like 50-cent beers at that time. And it was truly a place. And it's not just the building, it's not just the location and how close it was to campus, basically being right there. It was the people too, where you had bartenders who have been there for decades, who know it and love it, and have just been a part of the institution where you may go through your time at college there or in the community and go and meet them once, twice, and they're going to recognize you years down the line and point you out and say, "Hey, rich guy! Hey, this guy!" Or give you a nickname like Toe if you are dumb enough to leave your car overnight and it gets towed, like a certain viewer of this video.
Yeah, Ben, do one of these right now. Just do like that, right? And other side. Yeah, there. Yeah, that guy.
But no, it's going to be sad. But I'm excited to be Chris. Our 10-year high school reunion is coming up. I'm excited to be joining and coming back to the Valley for that, and watching the ASU U of A football game from the new and improved location in Ahwatukee too. But it's all the same people. They just relocated to the suburbs, have a new full kitchen, and it's going to be different, but it'll still hold that special something because it's not the place, it's the people.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad it's all the same people. And like Steven said, I had it pulled up there, but shout out Mikkel Bridges. He did show up on the last karaoke night. I was telling Ben last night, me and Ian showed up down there within their last week, and we tried to go get a last beer naively thinking we could get in, and it was either a Saturday night or something like that, and it was jam packed to the gills. Like
It's the
we
busiest I've
walked,
ever seen it.
yeah, busiest I've ever seen it. And so we decided to go up the road to Devil's Advocate, and I wanted to remember it for the good times when it wasn't always the busiest place, but it felt like home. And Ben really brought me into the Vine to show me how awesome of a place it was, and then I drug Mike and Ian out there. I don't know if actually Mike, I don't know if you had been to the Vine before we were friends, but in any case, after Ben went off to Texas and ran away, pretty much almost every Saturday or most weekends. I'm kidding.
Those are fighting words.
I'm kidding. No, but we would go there almost every weekend for a couple years, and like Ben said, the staff is amazing. The vibe was amazing. Just really, really great people, and so I'm definitely gonna head down there to the Ahwatukee location. I know when Ben rolls through, he'll go down there. I'm sure Steven will head down there. But yeah, like thinking of like other local spots, like Ben mentioned Chiba Hut. Because I'm hungry. I'm thinking about food right now. What's like another like local spot? I know for me personally, there used to be a Chino Bandito at Dobson and Chandler Boulevard, Dobson and Chandler Boulevard. And if anyone doesn't know, Chino Bandito, it's supposed to be like Mexican Chinese food fusion, but also kind of like Americanized Chinese and Mexican fusion. So it was just real interesting flavors, like really actually fucking good. Their signature is called like Jade Chicken. But like, is there another like local spot like Chiba Hut or Chino Bandito that you guys like?
Have you discovered Godzooks yet?
I've driven by them a bunch, never been.
Yeah, heard of it, never been though.
It's awesome. It's very similar to Chipotle, but they have a stone-baked oven, and it's enchiladas. So basically, you tell them what you want in the enchiladas, toppings, all that, and then they chuck it in the oven, pull it out. It's Phoenix. They're very proudly like Phoenix centric, and it says it all over their merchandise and everything. It's like the first place I've seen since I've lived here where they're really, repping Phoenix. It's pretty awesome.
Oh,
like
the
it.
Classic Jimmy and Joe's.
Classic.
From the former employee himself, if he's sorry with me saying that.
It's been a couple of years.
No one slings slang slices like Stephen Miller.
Did you guys work there at the same time or different times, Mike?
I never worked there.
Mike worked there.
I worked there. No, it was a different time. What was it? 2011 maybe? Yeah, 2011. With Matt Austin and Sean Liu and sorry, I'm putting everybody's names out there. Eric Althey.
Put him out there.
Brielle, what up?
The wordsmith Matt
Austin. Yeah, Jimmy and Joe's classic. It's been a couple of years since I've been there, but dude, when I was working there, I can't tell you how many slices I ate. Out of control.
Here's the thing. Wait, was it better when it was at the old location across the street behind the CVS or across the street next to the Albertsons?
CVS.
Something
was just different.
It hits different, yeah.
Yep.
Ian, do you remember if I'd taken you to Jimmy and Joe's? Because we had like a pizza thing going on for a while. We were trying to do like reviews of different pizza spots.
Yeah, when I first moved here, you were showing me like, because I got off the plane when I moved here, and I just started bitching about pizza for like 6 months. So meeting you were like, all right, I'm gonna take you to get good pizza, and we went to Jimmy and Joe's. I definitely recall it. That's where they give you the little cutter because the slice is so big. Yeah.
Yep.
Now the way you said that, the way you said that, you're like, oh yeah, I recall that. Is it a good recollection? Is it a negative?
Mediocre
recollection. Good. It was good for sure.
It was passable.
I'm trying so hard not to sound condescending, and I think it's making it worse. But no, it was good pizza for sure. It was just a long time ago. This is like 5 years ago, something like that.
Would you say that your pizza palate has diminished since you've been in Arizona?
I ordered Papa John's the other day, so yeah. Yeah, for sure it has.
I can't even be mad because I like Papa John, like especially the garlic dipping sauce.
Oh, that's the only reason to get it, but you can dip anything in that and it'll taste good.
Well, yeah, that's
Well, anything
very
that's
true.
food.
I
See,
like
the
go for it, Ben. Sorry.
Oh, see, the best thing is when you need your fix of like that Joe sauce, especially realizing like, oh, I can just make this at home, and I'm not gonna drop the secret recipe over here in the public. But oh yeah, it's always a taste of home.
Do you make that at your house, Ben, in Texas?
Yeah, I keep like a squirt bottle of it like in the fridge.
Oh, you
That's
should
legit.
text me. You should text me the recipe.
Oh, Mike should know it. They made vats of it in the back.
Yeah.
Mike's given me like the gist of it, but never with measurements. I know it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but
And it's evolved over the years to know you to fit your palate and to as your tastes evolve. But yeah, the amazing things you can do with a certain type of salad dressing.
Speaking of that, like, so every batch is going to be maybe just a little bit different, depending on how whoever makes it tweaks it or adds a little this, a little bit of that. But have you guys you've been to Freddy's? Do you have Freddy's in Texas?
Oh yeah.
So they
go ahead.
I was just gonna say they used to make their secret sauce in house, and then they fucking started manufacturing just like peel top like fry sauces, and it was like it's not as good anymore. When they mixed it up in the restaurant and gave you like the little ramekin, thing, it was really good. And so I mean, there is something to be said for making it in house. But I think you were gonna.
Yeah. So I mean, we have that's the one thing I've noticed about growing up in the Phoenix area and then moving to Texas is that both are heavy transplant cities where like we had spring training, we had people from all over the country and the world moving to Phoenix, especially from Canada, coming down to escape the winter. But very few people besides us would be actually from there, being like, okay, I was born and raised here, I am, I'm from the Valley, I'm going to rep it. And coming to Texas, there's definitely that culture there of like, I'm a 10th generation Dallasite, yeehaw, and I only root for the Cowboys and the Rangers, and I don't even like the Rangers that much. But yeah, it's the amount of people moving to a place and seeing all the different restaurants that may be regional delicacies. Like there's a Culver's in Arizona, and that's like only in the Midwest. Or the fact that there's a Portillo's now in Tempe when there's also one in Chicago. And just like seeing how the diaspora really affects all of that.
Yeah, they just put a Lou Malnati's in right next to that Portillo's, so now they have the Chicago pizza to go with the Chicago hot dogs right in that little area.
I mean, it is right down the street from Sloan Park, which is the Chicago Cubs spring training facility.
Yep.
So it only makes sense.
But they're also opening up like all of those the Fox restaurants in Arizona that are in Arizona here in Texas. So we have like the Henry Culinary Dropout, Pizzeria Bianco, like all of these like crazy places that are like known like good mid to upper tier fast casual dining in Arizona are like really spreading out too, which is just it's cool to see and get a little taste of home.
Yeah, and on like the reverse of that, I was even saying yesterday, like there's a ton of Whataburgers I've seen popping up everywhere. There's like one in Queen Creek, one in Chandler, one in Gilbert. Like, we're still unsure if because a part of going back to what we were saying about the Vine, all Spen was telling me the gas station and a few of the other buildings in that surrounding area were also being sold. So my question was, is the Whataburger being sold?
Here, we should ask in the chat. Is the Whataburger still being sold? Was all of those buildings, those businesses that weren't owned by ASU sold? I'm sure there's someone who knows. Press F, pay respects.
But yeah, no, that's awesome. Like I do like to see like the expansion and like that's cool. Like because I know there's a lot of people like you were saying come from Texas to here. I see that especially where I'm at. I'm in a growing area. Steven's not a commercial real estate agent. Why though? Why? We need the answers. Dang, we're going in on food right now. It's funny you said it was in a former Village Inn because there was a Village Inn out here in Queen Creek and it just shut down. And now it's called it's not Fuzzy's Tacos. What is it? Scorchies tacos. Torchies. Are you familiar with Torchies?
As a Texas staple, yeah, Torchies is great.
All right, well there you go. Perfect example. It works perfectly within the context.
Now the one thing that is a true Texas institution is Buc-ee's. Have you guys ever heard of this?
I was just about to ask if it's as good as they say.
What's Buc-ee's?
Oh, what is Buc-ee's? Buc-ee's is a gas station experience. They only exist here in Texas. I believe they just opened their first one out of state, like in Alabama or something. But it is like a 100 to 200 gas pump station that only serves cars and trucks. No 18-wheelers, but they always advertise, we have the cleanest bathrooms in Texas. But you walk in and you are greeted by this giant chipmunk that is just statued in bronze outside of each Buc-ee's. And they have everything. They have a full kitchen with their own jerky, their own like entire merch. It's like a 7-Eleven and a Walmart had some sort of hybrid child, to where you can get all of your things. You can get your Texas shaped cast iron skillet, but also some rifle ammo.
It's a one-stop shop.
Walmart gas station. That's amazing. I'm
some class.
I think I could appreciate a Buc-ee's because I've become a gas station snob, because it's like once you step foot in a QT, you can never go back to a Circle K. Like the experience is just night and day. And if I ever have to poop while I'm traveling, it's going to be in a QT. I live out here in the boonies. Mike, what do you got on this?
It sounds like QT doesn't even sniff the jockstrap of Buc-ee's, though. We're
100 pump
so out of the loop. Damn. Yeah, I've seen like different like content creators and stuff when they travel to Texas. They always make sure that they make a stop at Buc-ee's, and you see it. It's like it's like a mini Walmart. It's everything in there. For a gas station is wild. Got to check it out one day for sure.
It is truly an experience. Every trip to Austin or Houston or around, you have to stop at Buc-ee's.
Oh, is there not a Buc-ee's in Dallas?
So that's the thing. They are like a road trip place. So they're on the way out of major metro areas. So they like surround them so that like it's your first or last major gas station that you hit.
Gotcha.
Which is super smart.
Are they only on freeways?
Yeah, they're only on freeways for the most part.
So like pull off. So okay.
I guess I can't be mad at you for not taking me then. But next time I'm out there.
When you were here, I was a little busy. There was some things going on.
Yeah. I guess you weren't the most generous host. Like you said, you had some other things going. I'm kidding.
He was here for my wedding. As a groomsman, but
exactly.
But yeah,
I was
there was some stuff going on.
No. It was a good time. It was a great time. I was happy to be out there. Happy to be a part of that beautiful day with you and your wife. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. And didn't mean that you gave us a great dinner that night. Me and my fiance, you did give us that. So you were a generous host in that evening. That is true.
I was about to say, Chris, isn't it supposed to be the other way around? Aren't you supposed to be kind of bending over backwards for Ben while you're there? Not expecting it the other way, man. What the hell is wrong with you?
I did. I bended all over the place for Ben while I was out there. Let me tell you.
He was on the dance floor. He did bend it back.
There you go.
Busting a move. But man, now I'm even more hungry than I was before I ate that sandwich. Shit, I got cats attacking me.
How many cats do you have now?
So I had 3, and then me and Sabrina moved in together a couple years ago, and now I have 4.
Nice.
I can show you this one, maybe.
Oh, have you decided the favorite?
This guy's my favorite.
Ooh.
He's Royce the 9 Lives. He's my first cat that I got. Mike lived with him. Ian lived with him when we
Yep.
were all roommates for a little while there. And he's a good boy. He's kind of an asshole, but he's my guy.
He's the OG.
I do also really like Sabrina's cat Pocket. She's kind of taken a liking to me. She's a little black girl cat, and she's a little feisty, but she's a cutie. Is this pets time? Pets sharing time? I know you guys both got dogs. Ian's got a cute little pit mix.
Archie, come here.
I always love the pets.
Hey,
See
there
him?
he
Yep,
is.
there he is. Yeah.
Archie always barks at me whenever I go
Crying
to
at
visit
me because
Ian.
I'm not. Yeah, he's a little territorial.
But like,
He's still
I guess
not used to yet.
I guess are the cats versus dogs. That's a cultural debate. People are on. That's a polarizing topic. I'm kind of a cats and dogs person, but I'd probably lean more cat. Ian, I'd imagine since you have a dog, you'd probably lean more dog. But you've lived with both. Like, what do you think?
I like cats. I like all animals. I'm just more of a dog person for sure. There's more of a rapport. Like, you can give your dog commands, and there's an understanding more than there is with cats, I would say.
That's very true. You can't tell a cat to do fucking anything. Ben,
Yeah.
who's that? Who's that?
There's Jackie. She's very sleepy. It is almost we're about 2 hours ahead here in Texas, so she's been having a long day, lounging, staring at squirrels. She's been waking up in the middle of the night to chase possums in the backyard, which has been very fun for us to find the results.
Yes.
Dude, speaking of dead animals, yeah,
Do you really want to go to this right now?
yeah, I do, because it's important and I feel horrible about it. I don't know what it is. Me and Sabrina installed these shades in our bedroom window, and for some reason, birds keep flying into our window. And before, we would always go check just to make sure, and they would bounce off of it or whatever and fly away. But apparently, yesterday morning when we were both woken up by the loudest bang on a window we've ever heard, this bird broke its neck flying headfirst into our bedroom window. And we go outside and there's a dead bird laying right outside. So naturally, we did the rational thing, and Sabrina made me dig a 2-foot deep hole with a garden trowel, and we buried it in my backyard. So laid that bird to rest, said a little prayer. And I had to go on Amazon and buy like reflective stickers. I'm going to try and put up on the window so no more birds die. And have you guys ever killed an animal unintentionally? I don't think, am I responsible just by having that being in the house, it being my house? Am I responsible for that bird's death? I felt pretty
Absolutely
guilty
not.
about it.
No, you'll get a free pass on that one.
Speaking of
What-
dead
What does that mean?
So this reminds me of a slightly off topic, but going back to Jason Tatum and cringe, this is a area myself as cringy. That many years ago, like when I was little, there was a big like dinner. It was like a Thanksgiving dinner of like people from different families coming in, and I was at the kids' table, and it was about that time, like in the mid 2000s, where dead baby jokes were really, really funny, or at least for me. And so sitting at the kids' table, there happened to be babies there. So I looked over to one of the moms of these babies and go, so anyone here hear a dead baby joke? Anyway, I have not heard from that side of the family ever since. And,
You did your work. You got blacklisted, Ben.
yeah, not my proudest moment, but here we are.
Yeah, nobody else has any other dead animal stories. I've definitely been driving when I had my F-150, and it was one of those situations where you see the bird coming up and you're like, okay, buddy, hopefully you're going to fly away. You get a little bit closer and you're like, all right, man, do I have to hit the horn to let you know what's going on? And then just almost like right on top of it, and it got up and swerved and hit right into my grill, and that was the end of it, unfortunately.
Man.
Yeah, I had a similar situation where I was driving through like a residential street, and I passed under a tree, and I think what happened was a mama bird pushed the baby bird out of the nest to teach it how to fly, but it just went straight down onto my windshield. And I didn't really know what to do at the time, so I thought maybe if I hit the windshield wipers, I could like get it loose.
Oh god!
And that backfired terribly, and it just streaked blood on my windshield. Yeah, it was one of the worst things I've ever experienced. Definitely cried for the rest of the car ride.
That sounds like something out of a fucking movie.
Oh my god, yeah.
I shouldn't
for sure.
I shouldn't share another story about animals dying by my hand.
Oh,
I guess
I was gonna say it might just be on you, Chris.
So this is the only.
We might have to blame the broken neck on you, not just your house.
The only reason I think I feel a little guilty is because, like I said, other birds had ran into it before, and I was just like, oh, I guess they're just gonna keep running into it and bouncing off, and then now that one's died, I feel guilty about it. But this was years ago. This was probably almost a decade ago. I was still living with my parents. Animal murder podcast. You're right. Actually, I'm not going to share a story about me killing more animals. You're right. That's a good point. We should go on to any other topic other than that. To keep it maybe somewhat sports related, I was thinking how we could maybe talk about some of the sports video games coming up. There's Madden and NBA 2K23. Devin Booker's obviously going to be on the cover of 2K23. You love to see it. The cover art looked pretty dope. Of course, nowadays they have 8 different editions of the game, so there's going to be WNBA player cover editions, legend cover editions, alternate cover editions, Hall of Fame legend editions, platinum editions, whatever, all that shit. But in any case, back to the point at hand, I did see Chris Paul was disrespectfully rated like 78 overall on in the upcoming 2K. And so like do you even like put any stock in these ratings or rankings, and like, or do you guys first and foremost, do you guys play sports video games? Like I kind of dabble in them.
I play the show.
Not
I
everyone's
haven't played
people.
2K in a while. The last 2K I played, I think, was the one that had Luca on the cover of it, which might have been last year. But yeah, they broke some mechanics in it. I don't think I enjoy it as much as I did back in the 2K12, 2K13 days.
Yeah, I don't really, never really got into any of the sports games. I played FIFA for a little bit, but it's usually been like first-person shooters like Warzone, or single-player games like Fallout or Oblivion, or those types of games.
Is there a new Fallout coming out soon?
They announced that it's under development. It's going to come out as Fallout 5 after they finish Elder Scrolls 6.
Because is that still like Bethesda Studio and all that?
Yeah, and that's the main reason I switched back from a PS4 to back to Xbox with the new gen, was because like Bethesda got bought by Microsoft, and we just need to make sure that I'm able to access those games.
Yeah, the exclusivity deals and whatnot.
Bethesda's a big company to miss out on. So.
Oh yeah. So, but I think their next big game, as Steven put in the chat, is Starfield, which is supposed to be Fallout, but open world and in space. They've been developing it for like almost like a decade. It's been insane.
There was another game like that. Ian, you used to play
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, yeah. So is it going to be like No Man's Sky but done right? Because I know there was a lot of criticism to that game, like when it came out, that it was kind of like similar to Cyberpunk. It was just incomplete. very repetitive, not a lot to do.
Yeah, with No Man's Sky, it's something like 18 quintillion planets or some nonsense. So you'd got to imagine, the planets are pretty empty. Where Starfield, I think it's going to be, I don't know, 6, 7 planets, something in that range. But they're going to be very, very focused, and they're going to be actually full of things. Like it's not going to be just desolate wasteland the entire time,
Yeah, because with No Man's Sky, it had like that auto generation feature where it's like you had to go out farther than anyone else has ever been to get to the point where it's like it's a new planet or new something like that. But for Starfield, I think it's taking that same mentality, but making sure that it's fleshed out and has like a really deep lore and world building experience, which like Bethesda's really known for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could trust it. Did you say is Bethesda also the Elder Scrolls series?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like if you look at a game like Skyrim or any of those games, like there's a lot of detail, a lot of meticulous work. Similar to Grand Theft Auto, which I know Mike is patiently waiting for the next Grand Theft Auto 5 release.
Oh my God.
For the next.
Oh no.
Hell no, man. Are you kidding me? I'm done. I know they keep patching and adding stuff to it, but that I need something new. That game literally broke my Xbox 360, so I played enough of it. I don't need to play any more of it.
It killed my PS3 too.
I am excited for 2K23 to come out. It'll probably be the first one that I play since Kyrie was on the cover, which I think was 2K17 or 18. So it's been a handful of years, but it's also going to force my hand to actually buy a new console because I've just kind of been dragging my feet about that. I'm a really big single player game story mode kind of guy. Like Assassin's Creed 2 is probably my favorite game of all time, just with that storyline and whatnot. Love GTA, Red Dead, anything that I could get my hands on and really get immersed within the story. I know one of my saddest things was I had gotten that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order that game that came out a couple years ago. And I have an Xbox that came out with, oh man, what was it? That first Lord of the Rings game.
Shadow of Mordor, I think?
Yeah, that one. So it's an older Xbox, and when I got Jedi Fallen Order, like it was struggling to keep up, and then I definitely got to a point where there was within the game there's too many enemies on the screen at once, so the game would become so choppy that I couldn't like get past that point within the game, and I really enjoyed that game. So when I finally get this new Xbox, I'll be able to go back and finish that one off too. So I could thank Devin Booker for being on the cover for getting a new Xbox.
I think like you just said, you're gonna get a new Xbox. Ben got an Xbox. Ian has an Xbox now. I's been a loyal day one Xbox supporter, and I'm just gonna say with everything they're doing with Game Pass, and they're getting these exclusives and people are kind of done with all the PlayStation single player shit. Like there's still a place for that. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Last of Us sequel kind of flopped. There was the Ghost of Tsushima or whatever. That sounds like a good game, but yeah, all great games. I'm not trying to take anything away from that game in particular, but there's only so much you can do with the single player game. Where especially when you look at, like I said, what Xbox is doing with the Game Pass, I just think Microsoft is going to dominate that space if Sony doesn't pivot. Like Ben, it was what like you said, like with the Bethesda games, that was the biggest factor. But do you have Game Pass or what? Was there anything else that you looked at where Sony wasn't meeting your needs as a consumer?
Yeah, it was just 100% Bethesda. I'm like, okay, this is the type of games I like. This is what I have been waiting for years and like fell in love with. So I whatever the next console is that I'm going to get, it needs to be something that I know that for a fact I'll be able to access that. But yeah, like I have found it like it's really useful to have Game Pass for only $15 a month, just going on and being able to download like random games and play around and play games that I haven't possibly tried before. But speaking back to what Mike had said about breaking consoles, has anyone here tried to break a console or tried to use their console to have like success in a live match game? And what was the result of that?
I think I know where he's going with this. I wouldn't say break my console is the right phrase, but me and Ben, we go farther back than we go way back. And we were in high school, and this was it was a very memorable summer. Oh, we weren't even in high school yet. I think it was the summer between 8th grade and freshman year, or somewhere around that time. Maybe we were in high school already. It doesn't matter. It was a long time ago. We were playing Halo 3. Me, him, and another friend, AZ Chris. You might see him at some point in time on this podcast and stream. We were all playing Halo together, and at that point on Xbox 360, Xbox Live, there was something people called a lag switch that they would hit, where they wouldn't lose their internet connection, but it would make it slow enough to give them an advantage where they could glitch or get an edge. Anyway, I did some real rookie level research on the Google machine. Went down to Ace Hardware or Home Depot, bought a few a switch and some wires, and kind of fucked with my parents' router a little bit. And I was like, I got a lag switch, guys. I'm gonna hit this, and it's gonna give us an edge. So we're playing a game on Halo 3, probably like Slayer or something. And I don't even remember, Ben, if it even matters. I think it was probably like a neck and neck game, or like maybe we were a little bit behind, but I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna hit the lag switch. I go and I flip it and just disconnects me. So I created a disconnect the internet switch. It was like on or off.
So for us in the game, he's going, all right, guys, this is it. I'm going to get it. And it's like, I want to press a switch. And then you hear it cut the mic, and then you get the notification. Ben Gans 09 has left the party.
I was Ben Gans back then. I'm still to this day I can't spell for shit, but I wanted my name to be Vengeance 09, so it was 2009 probably was the year, and I spelled it VENGANCE. So but I didn't want to pay the $8 or whatever to change it because I was 14 years old and didn't have any money to my name, so it was Vengeance 09 for a couple of years there, and wore that as a badge of honor. But now I'm Tupac. Even though I called Cody White Tupac on the Heat Check podcast. But that's a whole nother story. We can get into that on a later time. But
that's not as bad as my current one, being Harambe Lives 2K16.
That's pretty good. Because didn't
Harambe aged like fine wine?
Harambe passed in 16, right?
Was assassinated. I believe the term.
Well, hey, it's a good remembrance for anybody that you play with.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, you can never let people forget Harambe.
Did you guys hear about the second animal that was killed? There was this in Norway, a walrus that was going up and jumping on the backs of boats, just hanging out on people's boats in a fjord. And it got up to be the point of being over 400 pounds. And people kept going. The government said, hey, stop going near this walrus. It's going to start getting aggressive towards you and want food and jump on more boats. And you know what people did? They kept going near the boats. So the Norwegian government had to euthanize Frida the walrus.
Frida?
Frida, that's a great name.
They had to. That's just terrible, man. You take it out on the animal. It was never their fault. It's just, what is it coming to? Who's next? Shamu? Is Shamu gonna get assassinated when he splashes?
He did already, man.
I was gonna say Shamu's probably.
I think that actually really happened.
Dude, I remember. Last thing I'll say, when that Blackfish documentary came out, I became real passionate advocate for those orca whales. I've never been to SeaWorld since. But Anyway, we've gone through so many topics. We talked about dead animals. That happened. But it's been, other than that topic, it's been a lot of fun. I thank Ian and Ben Miller for being on this podcast. We're gonna have Ben back on. He's kind of an expert in Arizona ASU sports. So we're gonna have him go and rant about Herm Edwards and what's going on with the Arizona Sun Devils. We'll always have Ian to come on if anything New York related comes up. He'll be on these roundtables, and fuck Ian, you can come on the Heat Check podcast. You can come on other shows too. We'll figure it out
For sure.
But yeah. Does anyone have anything else they want to say before I cut the stream?
Yeah, I got one more thing.
Shoot.
Can you see this? Is it showing? Is it not showing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me add that.
Is it not showing? Oh, that's so
No,
sad.
We got it.
We got it.
Press play.
Oh, it's not going to show it. That's whack. It was the Cliff Kingsbury shot of him. HBO is doing some whack shit, man.
Damn it. Yeah, we've been having some trials and tribulations with the screen sharing and whatnot. But well, last night
he's not even at his desk. He's at some like random put together desk with a couple of notepads in front of him, just looking.
Do you say it like a controller in his hand? He was just like,
yeah.
That's our coach. And
a couple of blinks.
The slow blinks. All right, fellas. Well, this was a Valley Sports Plug Roundtable for the month of August. We'll be coming back at you. We got the Heat Check podcast. We got Past the Outlet. Stick with us at _AZ_VSP. Until next time.